We are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Friday, December 22nd. I am Josh Engleman. I'm joined by Adam Scherer. We're brought to you by Better. And we're running back another 6-game slate, but this time we have 2 late games, and those 2 late games have the 245 totals for tonight. So that should be really fun. Should be a wild one as we head into the weekend. We'll have games tomorrow, no NBA on Sunday. You get it off for Christmas Eve, and then we're back for Monday for the old Christmas slate. The best day to watch sports, as far as I'm concerned. NBA basketball on Christmas Day feels great. You guys should hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow us both on Twitter. Adam, good riddance to yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday sucked. I was talking to you before the show. I did have one really good lineup that I late swapped off of before the 8 o'clock games. 2v2 cost me, it did cash, but cost me like a ton of points. Fortunately, Amir Coffey did nothing in the second half, so that lineup, had I left it alone, would have only finished 10th, and I don't have to be too pissed off about it. But other than that, nothing good or interesting for me on the main slate or the night slate.
Yeah, I had nothing interesting across the board other than the hockey streets once again. So I think I should probably just become a full-time hockey tout.
Yeah, I mean, that was my thought. I haven't played in the last probably week or so, mostly just from a time standpoint. It was getting in the way of stuff. But I started out the year really well and then went through a stretch where I wasn't coming close like any night. My stuff all still looked good and everything, but just, how things go. But for a while at the start of the season, it was just like, oh, this is the easiest sport that I've ever played.
Yeah, that's how I feel right now. And I'm going to keep firing away at hockey every single night. So I'm enjoying that part of it all. We have
I've been telling
wild
you since the beginning of the season to play.
You have. I didn't realize how easy it would be to get my stuff together while doing NBA at the same time.
Yeah.
It has proven to be easier than I thought it would be. So yeah, that is helping me out.
I don't know why I haven't been playing, really. I think I kind of just got out of the habit of registering, and now I just forget. But we finished the deeper dive at 6, and then from 6 to 6:30, I'm usually just sitting there like I have nothing to do because it would be a waste of time to do anything. And I could just be making hockey lineups.
Yes, you can. And that is what I will be doing tonight, along with my NBA lineups. But we've got all sorts of injury news with people out. We've got a fully broken Dallas Mavericks team for today that could be extra broken, depending on how the news breaks. We already have every piece of value you could want, and that's good because this is a day that has Joel Embiid on the slate, and I think for once I'm finally going to get to play this dude. Because we have never-ending guard value.
Yeah, so we're getting DraftKings nerf the salary for Embiid and Jokic, and then Dallas ruled out their entire team. So kind of like with yesterday, where it was like, oh, DraftKings tried to make late swap not a thing, and then it looked for a little bit like it was going to be a massive thing. It's like, oh, they're trying to make it so you can get to the stars, and then it happens to be the slate where you'd be able to if there were 14K.
Yes. So I have just finished running whatever the hell my lineups are going to be, at least for right now.
This ownership is insane.
Yeah,
and I knew it would be. I saw Eric's tweet last night with just the Dallas Mavericks selected and their salaries and injuries designations.
Yeah, Jaden Hardy in particular is just full stop broken. Seth Curry could be he's high in ownership right now. I don't necessarily know if I believe that quite yet, but we'll have that conversation. He's going to be heavily owned one way or the other, but he's got to play first, which will be the important part of all of this. Are you ready to break it all down?
Yeah.
All righty. Let me refresh the lineups that I just exported. Perfect. We'll start it off on the Toronto side. 8-point underdogs in Philadelphia, 230 total. This one's pretty easy to talk about. Toronto's got everybody in that they normally have. Philadelphia is going to be without Nick Batum, and they have a Q tag on DeAnthony Melton. So for Toronto, they look mostly uninteresting. I thought Pascal Siakam might look really good today. 7,900 power forward center, 7% owned. It's single-digit ownership on DraftKings and FanDuel. I like Siakam and Barnes the most. I like Siakam on paper. I'm not getting to a lot of him.
Yeah, I think Siakam is the perfect example of how everything is relative within a given slate. If you just look at Pascal Siakam, $7,900, 7% owned, it's very easy if that's all the information you have to just say, this is a fantastic play. Give me a bunch of Pascal Siakam. The problem is what we were just talking about, that you have infinite value coming from Dallas. You have lower prices than usual on the top end guys. It just is so difficult to get a lot of mid-range guys because he's not going to project remotely as well as Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic. And it's not going to take you that much. You're not going to have to sacrifice that much to get from him up to these top end guys. So that's why you're seeing the relatively low ownership. You're only seeing an 8% optimal percentage. He's clearly underpriced at 7,900. It's just a matter of everybody on this slate is underpriced at the bottom and at the top, and it makes it really tough. Same goes for Scotty Barnes, 8,800 point guard, small forward, 13% chance of being optimal for him, 8% ownership. But again, he looks good. It's just he doesn't look good as the top and the bottom, which does suck on a slate like this too. Everybody's going to have the same builds. It's not just the really difficult thing about a slate like this, I think, in large field tournaments is not only do you just have clear-cut value plays that everybody is going to play, so you're kind of playing like 5-on-5, but you're playing 5-on-5 where everybody's also using those 5 roster spots the exact same way also.
Yeah, it is. It's really tricky today. I said it on the process. I was like, just looking at some of this, it's like every line, like we're basically just playing with 6 dudes and 2 of them don't count today. And, you basically said the exact same thing in this intro. And it's weird because you look at this Toronto team and it's like, yeah, I probably won't have much of it. So that's 1 out of the 12 teams right away that you're just drawing mostly a line through. But I think it is Barnes and Siakam. I don't see much justification for anybody else.
No, me neither, because really I think on a slate like this, obviously to be a priority, you have to be one of the best point per dollar plays or highest projected guys. But to even get there, like to even get into lineups, you need to at least in your range of outcomes have being a top scorer or top value. And nobody really on this team outside of Barnes, Siakam is capable of giving you 60 DraftKings points.
No. Philly side obviously contains the dude you want the most. It also contains basically nothing else. Now, maybe the Melton news will matter and open up a little bit more value somewhere, but 35% ownership coming into an $11,200 Joel Embiid, 3 to Tyrese Maxey, and 3 to DeAnthony Melton. I have 34 of Embiid right now. I actually thought that I would have significantly more. I did get to some Jokic, but to me, I think Embiid looks quite a bit better than Nikola Jokic today.
Yeah, I mean, I think he looks fantastic. You and I have talked about it a lot lately on slates where we couldn't get to him, but like 1.9 DraftKings points per minute for the season, over 2 fantasy points per minute over the last 30 days. The question for him generally is, will he play the fourth quarter? But it doesn't even matter that much because he's playing like the entire third quarter when he doesn't play the fourth. And generally, he's the reason he doesn't need to play the fourth. He's averaging 34 minutes per game, even over the last 30 days where he has frequently not been playing the fourth quarter. He just looks fantastic. Salary came down, very easy to get to him. Everything looks really good. I just finished running my sim, and if the slate started right now, he would be my highest owned guy from Philly. I would have 37%.
Yeah. It's just, there's no barrier to stop you from getting to, like, if you want to say that you like Jokic better than Embiid, whatever, I'll like have that conversation. It's not really important. If you want to get to either one of those guys, there's absolutely no barrier to do it. And it will come together quite easily with more like pay up options in that lineup still.
Yep. And for comparison, I have them similar. I have 37% Embiid, 42% Jokic. That's the kind of thing that just could easily, like either one could end up being my higher owned guy, but I'm getting them both a lot.
I basically have them both at 30%. And like, again, that's it. They just look great. But I'm also getting Booker. I'm getting Trey. I'm getting Durant. I'm getting Steph Curry. Like these are all the most expensive guys. And I have all of them instead of having none of them like I normally do.
Yeah, looking at my highest owned guys other than the Dallas guys is actually fun for once.
It's been a while, right?
Yeah,
this is the slate that casuals need,
right?
Because this pricing is very casual friendly.
Yeah, is 45% AJ Lawson real?
No,
for me. Okay,
no. I mean, it can be. It isn't right now.
Okay, because he's Curry's my highest owned guy, Hardy is second, and then it's AJ Lawson, which stood out as like, I don't know about that one.
I don't trust the Curry one either, but we'll have that conversation in a bit. But no, like they have like 12 available bodies if you
Okay,
include the G League dudes today.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Like, I know they're shorthanded, but are they like playing
He
7
doesn't
guys?
have to play a single second. They can play the nine guys that are on their active roster and not have to do anything. Like if they want to go crazy, they
Right.
can just do that.
Yeah, and we have him at 20 minutes, which seemed a little bit high to me.
Yeah, I think I like went out of my way to make sure it was like 14 or something.
Right.
But we'll dig into that
But
in a
yeah,
bit.
that regardless of that, like actually seeing the names Jokic, Embiid, Van Vliet as like guys at the top for me is nice.
Maxi down to 8,700. I was like, oh, nice. Like I might like when I looked at Philly first before I got to the other 5 games. I was like, oh, like I might be able to get to some Maxi at 5%. It's just he looks good, but he doesn't look amazing because everybody at the top has like relatively soft pricing. So, are you getting to anything else from Philly?
No, I'd like to be getting to him to Maxi. Like I like the idea of him at 8,700. He's certainly capable of being one of those guys that gives you a huge game like Siakam or Barnes, but I'm not getting there. There are other good guards to play in that range. Embiid's really all that I'm getting to. I have a small amount of Melton, a small amount of Oubre, like 3% and 1%, but that's it.
Okay. Anything else you want to touch on in this game?
Nope.
Perfect. Then we shall keep it moving with the schedule for the rest of the day. I am just learning now that I don't have my copy of the run sheet open. So I am going to just slowly and surely talk until it actually pops up. But schedule NFL strategy show. I didn't spell the word strategy correct this morning. Great Friday for me. 11 a.m. coming up next, NFL strategy show. You also get the NHL strategy show at 2 p.m. Adam and I come back for the deeper dive at 5. And then you get NBA Live before lock at 6 p.m. Pretty standard day around these parts. The other standard thing that you should do is use our avatar. Go to stokastic.com/avatar, grab our logo, pop it in on DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, Owner's Box. If you finish in the top 3 of a contest with 5,000 or more entries, you can get 1 month of whatever you want at Stokastic for free. That's a $200 value. Come get the Sims tool if you do it. All you have to do is tweet that victory at Stokastic HOF. We want to be able to promote you and show that our logo is on the tippy top of that contest. So all you have to do, click the link in the description or the link in chat. All right, we'll move it on over to the Denver Nuggets. 4.5-point favorites in Brooklyn, 230 total, 35% ownership coming into Nikola Jokic, and about 15 coming into Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. I think both of those guys are fine. I think Murray's fine. Jokic does stand out, but I'm honestly a little surprised to see that much ownership going to Jokic and seeing those like Jokic and Embiid be as close as they are.
I mean, they're the same play. Like we have them projected. Yeah. We have them projected a point apart.
I have a much bigger gap.
Yeah, like I don't really know how you can argue that they're not. I mean, Embiid has been better over the course of the season. Murray is playing for Denver, which makes a difference. But there was a point in the season where Jokic was over 2 fantasy points per minute, and you just wouldn't shut up about how that wasn't going to last. And then now you can't stop saying that that's what Embiid does. I mean, they're both.
That's not what I said. It's not what I said. I didn't say that. I do not have Joel Embiid projected for 2 fantasy points per minute.
They have the same range of outcomes. Embiid does project better. I think if they're similarly owned, the way I see it is I wouldn't mind if I took a big Embiid stand, but I think it's probably correct to just have a lot of both. I would be, if they are similarly owned, I'd be surprised to take a big Jokic stand.
Agreed. Yeah, like I have Jokic at a very quality rate, but Joel Embiid right now is projected to score 36.5 real points today.
So that's not a projection. That is a line in an inefficient market.
No, in my projection is 36 and a half.
You're using your
projections
as fact. I thought you were using the line.
No, my projection is fact. It's the same fact as everybody else. Massive scoring out of Joel Embiid and just lesser because Nikola Jokic is a point guard in a center's body. They're clearly close, but if they're close in ownership, I think the lean then is very clearly Joel Embiid.
Yeah, like I said, I think if I get to one heavily over the other, it would be Embiid. and I'd want it to be Embiid.
Okay. So like basically what I'm saying.
Well, no, because I'm playing. I think that they are.
I'm happy
very,
to get both too.
Yeah, I'm getting them both, and I'm saying I think they are very similar. They have the same range of outcomes. Like Embiid is probably what, like a 53 to 47 favorite to beat Jokic today or something.
It's probably a little higher than that, at least to me. Be interesting to see it throughout the day. 60-40. 60-40. Like Jokic 1.8 fantasy points per minute over the past 30 days. You look at that and you're like, man, that's damn good. And then you're like, Embiid is at 2.1. It's just
okay, but why
so
does the last
silly.
30 days matter? Like Embiid has played some.
No. That was just like a
teams.
wow. Jokic's number is really high, and Embiid's is like just taking a dump on top of it.
Yeah,
that wasn't to like justify anything. Just how staggering Jokic can be, and then Embiid is just dunking on it over the past month.
Right. Yeah, and overall this year, 15 games with Jamal Murray active for Jokic. He is at 1.73 DraftKings points per minute. Embiid overall this year, 1.9.
Yeah, it's tight. It's tight. This was not to dissuade anybody from Nikola Jokic. That is not the path that I'm trying to take here. I have him. He looks great. How many Jokic and Embiid lineups are you getting? Is that what you're looking at?
I was looking at 10 out of 150. Yeah. Or wait, no.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 out of 150. So yeah.
Okay. It's an interesting dynamic between the two.
8 of those 10 have AJ Lawson, so that might be changing a bit.
Sure.
Are you getting the rest of Porter? Because I am, and I'm kind of surprised.
I've got 10% of MPJ. I've got about 10% of Aaron Gordon. I got a little bit of Murray. I actually thought I'd get a little bit more of Murray now.
Yeah, I mean, the pricing is nice. Aaron Gordon, 16% ownership. Porter, 13%. I have 23% Gordon right now, 12% Porter. So right around the field on Porter. I am getting the 14% Murray, which is a little bit over the field. So slightly over on Murray, slightly over on Jokic, slightly over on Gordon, even with the field on MPJ.
Wow. So we have Embiid playing 2 more minutes than Jokic too. So we have Jokic as the better per minute play here.
That's weird.
But I did not expect to see it broken down like that.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Because it's not like Jokic has like a good matchup either.
No, not at all. But the moral of this story for today, no matter where you land on Joel Embiid, no matter where you land on Nikola Jokic, is that you have enough salary to easily play both of them together if you want to. There are no barriers to playing the 2 best players in basketball right now if you want to. Very curious to see if anything changes for the rest of the day to open up any center value. And then you start to really figure out like, oh no, what do we do here?
Right. And I will say that it's likely by the time we get to lock, I have a higher Embiid projection than right now, just based on the fact that for whatever reason, he's lower points per minute right now.
Yeah, that's where I was trying to lead you from the beginning. Anything else for the Denver Nuggets?
No.
Brooklyn Nets side of this one does not look all that good. And they are getting Dennis Smith Jr. back today. So even more bodies here. 8% ownership to Nick Claxton is the high mark. It's 12% on FanDuel to Mikal Bridges. I have every single player from Brooklyn that I projected to play in a lineup, but no one more than 8%.
You have Trendon Watford?
I did not project Trendon Watford to play.
You have Dennis Smith Jr.?
I do. $4,400 point guard. I gave him 19 minutes. He showed up in 2% of my lineups.
Okay. I have Dinwiddie, Johnson, Bridges, Claxton in at least 2% of lineups. Nobody in more than 11%. That's Dinwiddie. 7,300 point guard, shooting guard. 8% chance of being optimal, 4% ownership. Don't care if I get him. Don't care if I don't. He's just kind of there. And that's really how I view this entire team.
Yeah. It's, like I said, 2 of Cam Thomas, 4% Cam Johnson, 1 share of Day'Ron Sharpe, 2% of Smith, 1 share of Dorian Finney-Smith, 7% Bridges, 8% Claxton, 4% O'Neal, 3% Dinwiddie. The most likely scenario here is that 6 o'clock, all of those guys except for Claxton and Bridges just go away.
Right. And I think the way basically this team's function on this slate is just, if you think of building your lineup like actually player by player, it's Okay, I have my lineup. It's chalky as hell because I don't know how to get away from Dallas plus Joel Embiid or Jokic on this slate. And okay, now I have the money for a 4% Dinwiddie or 3% Bridges. That's going to be a contrarian play in this lineup, but it's not like they stand out as like the best contrarian play on the slate. It's just, yeah, we can use them here. We'll use somebody else there and keep it moving.
I have nothing else here for Brooklyn. So now we do it. The Dallas Mavericks, shockingly, honestly, are only 9-point underdogs against Houston in Houston. 225 total, but really that total doesn't matter much. Luka Doncic out, Dante Exum out, Josh Green out, Kyrie Irving out, Maxi Kleba out, Derek Lively out. You can make a very real case that the starting five of a real game for the Mavs is just not playing today. You want to tell me that it's Kyrie, Luka, Josh Green, Maxi, and Derek Lively in like a game that mattered? All those guys don't play today. So Jaden Hardy is point guard, shooting guard, 4,300, projected for 95% ownership. Whatever you thought Craig Porter was over the past 2 days, it's this times a million.
Except I actually don't have him in 100%.
Well, that makes some sense given some of the other things you have from Dallas right now.
True. Yeah, I mean, we have him at 30 minutes.
We have to assume he's starting, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have him at 30 minutes right now. That just seems low to me.
I went 32. I think he's live for 38.
Right. I'd say he's live to just not leave the floor.
I don't know how the fact, like, he has the MPE too. It's not even just like, okay, he's point guard only. No, he's just, you have to play him. He's in every cash lineup or you have made a giant mistake. It's just full stop the easiest thing. Assuming he's in the starting lineup, which I don't know how he wouldn't be.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. Like right now I have 71%. I think I end up getting more. Again, I just don't think 30 minutes works here. We have him playing 30. We have Seth Curry playing 28.5. We have Lawson playing 20. Like Hardy, I think, is just clearly playing more than, like, a lot more than any of those guys.
I completely agree.
So I think I end up getting more of him. But even at 30 minutes, he's showing up 71%. Similarly, like I said before, I have like 95% Curry. So basically right now, I'm getting Hardy like the field is getting Curry, and I'm getting Curry like the field is getting Hardy, which on the surface makes some sense just from like a range of outcome standpoint. But I do think right now they're just projected too closely together, which is why it's happening for me. I don't think it's, even though it's kind of cool to see that like play out, I don't think it's a function of like, oh, the Sims are saying they're the same play, so you should flip their ownership. But the reason it's saying they're the same play is because they're projected to be the same play when they're not.
Right. So let's talk Seth Curry then, because he's projected for 74% ownership, and that is potentially real, but totally unreal at 10:20 in the morning. He is questionable, and my assumption is that he is not starting today.
Why is that your assumption?
I assume that we're going to get Jaden Hardy, Tim Hardaway, Derek Jones Jr., Grant Williams, and Dwight Powell.
Yeah, that works. He had been starting over Hardy is the thing, but Hardy is different.
Yeah, like if Seth Curry is starting, then the $3,700 shooting guard Seth Curry starts to get that 95% ownership that Jaden Hardy is. Whichever one of those guys, if they're starting, they are lock button plays in the starting lineup.
I wonder if that's what we're projecting. I kind of wish, just for the purposes of content, we had like a checkbox, like starter, yes or no. Because
I think we had that at one point.
28.5 minutes for Curry, 30 for Hardy makes a lot of sense if Curry starts. It doesn't make a lot of sense if Hardy starts.
No, like I went 22 to Curry with the assumption that he would be coming off the bench. He hasn't been playing massive minutes in any real situation when they have people out. But to be clear, even in 22 minutes, a $3,700 Seth Curry with nobody else on the Mavs is still in 50% of my lineups. It doesn't take a lot to get to him at all.
Right. Yeah. And again, I think as long as he's in, you're going to get there. It's just a matter of him versus Hardy, which again, I think I just end up more in line with the field where I'm just playing Hardy everywhere and playing a lot of Curry.
Whoever's starting in this trio of Hardy, Hardaway, and Curry, like that will tell a big story.
For whatever it's worth, which is basically nothing. The last time that we got a Dallas game with no Luka and no Kyrie was last April. Hardy did start. Curry didn't play. Hardy started. I don't remember if Curry was even on the Mavs at that point. Hardy started, played 28 minutes, but didn't play at all in the fourth quarter of that game. So the fourth quarter was played by Frank Ntilikina, Theo Pinson, McKinley Wright, Justin Holiday, and AJ Lawson.
Interesting. So we'll need the Q tag news on Curry to like really hash this out. But as long as he is in, he will be a heavily owned value play.
Yep.
If he's starting, he'll be a lock button value play. But either way, that will look good. What are you doing with $6,100 shooting guard small forward Tim Hardaway? He is 73% owned. I have 75%. By the way, Hardy and Hardaway with Curry or with Kyrie and Luka off are both like 30% usage dudes.
Yeah, so that was going to be the next thing I'd say. So I'm only getting 15% Hardaway right now. I don't agree with that either.
That's impossible.
Shooting guard, small forward, 6,100. We have him in for 33 minutes, but we only have him projected for 33.8 DraftKings points. The matchup against Houston sucks, but this guy's going to be the offense.
Yeah, I have him in for 36 minutes, and I have him at 1.1 fantasy points per minute.
Yeah,
because I gave him a 29% usage rate. By the way, Tim Hardaway, most recent game, 37 minutes played 36 3 games ago. That's with Luka in. Played 37 with Luka in a couple games ago. He's just starting and playing 36 minutes.
Yeah. The minutes here are just like they're really flat. I don't know if like the assumption is just that nobody's playing the fourth quarter or what.
Well, to be fair, it is 10 o'clock in the morning in a situation that is very tumultuous for Dallas. There are some assumptions that are like tough to make.
Yeah. My point is just like I think my Dallas exposures are going to look very different by now.
I think they're going to look a lot more like mine.
It is worth noting, I guess, 370 minutes since the start of last season. No Luka, no Kyrie, and no Christian Wood on the floor. Still only 0.92 DraftKings points per minute for Hardaway. 26.2% usage rate. Still kind of just is what he is.
What's he shooting?
47% true shooting.
But
yeah, but that's kind of what I expect from Tim Hardaway when he has no good players on the floor with him.
Yeah, likewise. Either way, look, 6,100 shooting guard small forward when those guys are out, like you're just playing that dude a bunch by default. Like we're quibbling a little bit on some of this stuff. He is unquestionably going to be one of the highest owned dudes on today's slate.
Yeah, it's just I do think it's kind of a question of like, should he be? He's getting 73% ownership. We have him 34% to be optimal. 34% to be optimal. He's clearly one of the best plays on the slate. But I do think it's interesting to kind of just point out that, and we see this all the time, when third scoring options that aren't actually very good at creating turn into the number one scoring option, they usually suck from an efficiency standpoint.
The real huge problem for Dallas is they really don't have other people that soak up usage after Hardy and Hardaway. Like they are just plumb out of those dudes.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm getting at is like the usage should be there, but what is he going to do with it? Like he's very live to just shoot 4 for 22.
Very true. Very true. I'll take those chances.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying at 73% ownership, it's worth considering that.
It's a conversation.
Yeah, because it's always just, there's usage. These guys are out. This guy's going to shoot more. We've seen a big efficiency drop off in these spots, and it makes perfect sense based on who he is as the player.
56% owned, $5,300 small forward Derek Jones Jr. also seems fairly unavoidable as a mid-tier option at a tough position to fill. That's just going to play all of the minutes that you could possibly want him to play.
Yeah, getting to 42% Derek Jones Jr., no issue with that. Feels at like 55.
Yeah, it's like that's just you got to do it. $4,700 power forward Grant Williams. Do I want to be playing a ton of him? No. Do I have 40% of him? Yeah, because again, like they just have a lot of minutes to go around to guys that are actual real NBA players.
Yeah, I have 30% of him. Again, I don't really want it. So I will also say just from a broader sense on Dallas, of the very popular guys, I think it's very difficult to get away from Hardy. If Curry is in, I think it's very difficult to get away from Curry. The rest of the team, you can start taking some chances and moving things around. Like obviously they still look good with everybody being out, but again, like because Hardaway is 6,100 or whatever. Aaron Gordon over Hardaway is completely defensible. There's no like 4K guys that you're playing over Jaden Hardy unless they're also on this team.
Yeah, no, that you'll have guys around Derek Jones and Tim Hardaway and Grant Williams that can be comparable 1-to-1 swaps at like 1/9 the ownership. All of the guys on Dallas should be the guys on today's slate getting crazy ownership. But for GPPs, it's very easy to hot swap one to a different guy. Here's where I think it starts to get really confusing. I don't totally know what they do at center, and they have carte blanche to do whatever they want. They played like a lot of Grant Williams at the 5 their last time out, but with all of these dudes out, do they just play real set? Like, does this actually become the Rashawn Holmes day that we thought would never happen just because they don't have bodies?
Right. I don't know. And before people say, oh, but Şengün, they started the second half small against Zubats. It goes back to, what we've said a lot. You're not necessarily just matching up with the other team. Kid made the Clippers match up with him, and the Clippers didn't have to match up with him. They just chose to. But
you know what Dallas would like to do? Put Grant Williams at the 5 and bring Şengün out of the paint.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, I think so. The starting lineup will tell us a lot.
Yeah.
Because if Powell doesn't start, then obviously they're just not even like pretending that they're going to do this.
Yeah.
If Powell starts, then it gets interesting because it could just go either way. Does Powell play 25 minutes and then you get Holmes playing backup minutes, you get Morris playing backup minutes? It's also live to just Powell starts, gets shit on by Şengün, and then they go small. It's really, really volatile there. Right now, we have Powell getting 25 minutes. We have Holmes getting 7. We have Morris playing 16.
It's about where I am. I went 22 to Powell.
With 25 to Powell, I'm getting 27%. 25 to Powell still scares the shit out of me, though.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, so this is another one. I think I get less Powell because if you go 20 to 22, he's going to look fine still. You're going to play him, but
I got 11% at 22.
Yeah, probably not in a quarter of my lineups.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever be in a position to go to Holmes, but this is the kind of stupid shit where he goes out there and plays 20 minutes after they bench Powell.
Right, yeah, he's live to piss everybody off. Like you said, Powell just looks terrible. They're like, oh, you can't be any worse. And then he goes out there and just scores fantasy points like Holmes does.
Let's go to your guy first, AJ Lawson, shooting guard, small forward, flat 3K, projected for 12% ownership. I have 10%. I went 16 minutes. And this is, again, assuming Curry is in. If Curry ends up out, then we start to look at these G League guys a little bit more. There should be no confidence in the minutes for AJ Lawson, Max Prosper, Dexter Dennis, or some other random G League jerk off that they have too that could play. They have enough bodies, and that's where it's a problem.
Right. And that's, it's sort of like we were talking about before. We have 19 and a half minutes to Lawson right now. That certainly could be the number of minutes he plays. It seems pretty aggressive for a projection considering how wide the range of outcomes is here. I think, like you said, 15, 16 is probably more reasonable. And at that point, I won't be getting 40 whatever percent. At that point, it just makes him, he can be the contrarian guy in this lineup. Maybe this game goes to shit and he plays and he's low owned, whatever. But right now we have him getting 11% ownership, but we have him projected for a 22% chance of being optimal. That's going to close. I'm going to stop getting as much. Markieff Morris at 3,800, we have getting 16 minutes. I'm getting 9% of him. Fields at 3%. That's one I actually like as a contrarian because there's a lot of ways that Morris actually ends up getting minutes here. He
can play more than 20 minutes today very easily.
Right. Like if this game goes small, you can get more of him. If he just plays well, you can get more of him. He can play center. He can play the 4. There are ways for him to get minutes, which is nice. Again, not that I'm confident he's playing a lot. I think 16 is a very fair projection there too. But I'm fine with that one. We have Prosper projected for 17 minutes. I think, that's perfectly fine also. He's also 3K. I'm getting 5% of him. So I think, to me, Lawson, Morris, Prosper are kind of all the same play where I don't have any confidence any of them are playing a lot of minutes. There's a decent chance one of them plays 20 plus for whether it's by design or by the game just getting blown out or whatever it is. So I like mixing them in. I'm not looking to take a 45% stand like I am right now on any of them though.
No, I don't think you could. If I was taking a 45% stand on one of them, it would be Markieff Morris if I had to choose one, but I wouldn't want it to be any of them. I think the moral of this story for Dallas is you're probably going to have 3 Dallas dudes in everything you build. Who that third dude is probably up in the air, but you're pretty well locked into 2 of Hardy, Curry, Hardaway, assuming Curry is in, and then one other random dude if it's Derek Jones or Grant Williams or somebody else. But 3 Dallas dudes just kind of feels like the most likely build across the board.
Yeah. And so right now I'm getting even more than that, but I think that's going to change. Right now of my top 150 lineups, 10 of them have 5 Dallas guys. 57 have 4 Dallas guys. 70 have 3. I think the 4 and 5 gets knocked back when like Lawson stops showing up everywhere. When
3 is just so easy to do. And the 4th will be very easy to do, but you could like wiggle there. But I don't know, like 3 is just firm to me.
Yeah. I don't hate the idea of just like Hardy, Curry, and nothing else, and just hope that those guys are all mediocre.
Or Hardy, Hardaway, and like it's just they're the only they take
all
55 shots.
Right. But yeah, I like the idea, like you're saying with 3, where it's the cheap guys, Hardy, Curry, then like you throw in either Hardaway or Jones or Williams, whichever. And then for the other guys, there are pivots. So if you have Hardy, Curry, Jones, that's an Aaron Gordon instead of Tim Hardaway lineup, for example.
Yep. Yeah. Hell of a team, this Dallas Mavs. Anything else for the Mavs for right now? We're obviously going to be able to talk about it in depth again at 5:00.
Nope.
The Houston side not pulling a ton of ownership. 20 to Fred VanVleet, who continues to just play a million minutes. 10% to Tari Eason and 10% to Alperen Şengün. I'm actually getting the VanVleet amount. I'm getting the Şengün. I have everybody I projected minutes except for Amin Thompson, but a lot of these are 1%ers. I'm very scattered for Houston, but no major stands other than VanVleet.
Yeah, I have 34% VanVleet right now. That's my highest, which perfectly happy with, just playing a million minutes. I guess counter argument would be that there are a lot of guys in this range that give you a similar range of outcomes. Siakam, Maxey being 2 that we've already talked about that are a little bit less or a little bit more expensive, respectively, that I'm not getting to and are lower owned. But just the minutes he's playing, the matchup is fantastic. Last game, obviously a massive game against Atlanta, rather, played 44 minutes. Like, you're just not getting that playing time from anybody else in the NBA outside of like Luka without Kyrie, and he's not playing today. So he looks great. I'm getting the 20% Tari Eason right now, 10% owned. We have him 17% to be optimal. I think I lose some of that. We have him at 27 minutes, and it's just what we talked about the other day. I don't think if Jabari Smith is going to play 32 minutes, I don't think Eason can play 27.
Nope.
Or he's playing 27. Like, physically, obviously he can, but those guys aren't playing alongside each other enough that I think both of those things can happen. And for a 6K Tari Eason, you need a high probability of Jabari Smith getting in foul trouble or getting hurt or something. And so I don't think I end up getting there. But Jabari Smith's salary came up, so tough to get to him as well. I'm only getting 7% Şengün. Would like to be getting more of that at 8,300. He's getting 12% ownership. He should do whatever he wants against this Dallas defense. And he did get benched last game because he couldn't defend pick and roll, but I don't think that's going to be a huge issue here.
No, neither do I. Anything else for Houston?
No.
Sponsor for today. You can only hear it once you hit that like button, but it is Better, and they've got the best, not just better, but best deposit bonus you can find, up to $500 on your first deposit. You put in 100, they'll give you 100. You put in 300, they'll give you 300. You put in 500, they will match that up to $500. It's the best thing that you can do. Taking advantage of deposit bonuses. It's the best way to start off a bankroll. If you're looking to get into this in a bigger way, take advantage of these opportunities because they will go away, and then the deposit bonuses are going to be significantly smaller. You can 100x an entry as long as you have 8 picks. I mean, think about that for your first play on that bonus cash. They've got NFL, NBA, MLB, hockey, and more. If you want more pick 'em plays, check out oddshopper.com. We can help you out there. But for right now, take advantage of the deposit bonus. It's the most important thing I could tell you. Again, this is at Better. Link in the chat or description. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. You got to be 21 or over for this. Atlanta Hawks are 1.5-point dogs in Miami, 237 total. Not too much to talk about here for this one. The Atlanta side still has no Jalen Johnson, although he is back practicing, so he's going to be back shortly. 10% ownership to Trae Young, single digits across the board for everybody else. It's 22% to Trae Young on FanDuel. It's just like not a great spot here against Miami, and Atlanta has everybody in and everybody priced where they should be.
Yeah, Trae Young showing up 14% for me. That's the high mark. Like you said, not a great matchup. but you do just have the salary, and Trae Young clearly is capable of being one of the highest scorers on the slate. We have him projected for 51 DraftKings points, 11% ownership, 11% chance of being optimal. I'm getting the 14%, so perfectly happy to be there. Other than that, not getting much. I have 7% of Kongwu at 5,500, power forward eligible. I'm in line with the field there. 3% Bogdanovich at 6,600. That price tag came down, but 14% Young, 7% of Kongwu, my two highest owned guys here. Just small pieces of Bogdanovich, Bay, Murray, Hunter elsewhere.
Yeah, not too much else here for me. The Miami side is also without Jimmy Butler once again. Everybody else that's normally around for Miami is single-digit ownership across the board for DraftKings. FanDuel's different. 23% coming into Bam Adebayo, where he's 8,900. 22% to Jaime Jaquez at 5,600. And then another 16% to Tyler Hero at 8,100. But on the DK side, I just have scattered amounts of Bam, Jay Rich, Tyler Hero. Tricky team, though, today.
Yeah, great matchup. Just a healthy team. Bam showing up 11% for me right now, so 2x the field there. Perfect contrarian option. Like, again, there's a lot of guys like this. It's not like Bam is special in that regard, but 9,200 against the Hawks on a slate with basically unlimited value. If you can get there as I have chalk Dallas guys, I have chalk whatever else, let me play a 6% owned Bam, great. 8% chance of being optimal, so a little bit under owned. Pretty much all I'm getting here, 6% Richard, 4% Hero. Richardson, rather, 4% Hero. Yeah, good matchup. Happy with whatever I get, particularly if they're named Bam or Hero.
Yeah, we're going to have to make an update to whatever we have in here. We don't have Kevin Love projected. That's not the only time I've seen that this morning, but he's not on the injury report, so I assume he is the backup center. Doesn't matter. He's 5,800. We're not playing Kevin Love today, but he should be playing. That is my assumption. Yeah, I don't have much here. $8,400 Hero is appealing to me in this spot, given the way that he's playing right now. It's just his team.
It's just on the slate, center only.
Oh, for Kevin Love?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's 5,800 and there's zero chance we're playing him.
Oh, I thought you said he looked appealing to you.
Tyler Hero.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Hero, 8,400, point guard, shooting guard, no Butler around. Like, it's the kind of flyer I'm happy to have in a GPP field if he's 6% owned and we have a bunch of other non-6% owned dudes.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I thought you said Love. I was just like,
no. Kevin Love is fully unplayable, whether we project him in or not.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
But I expect him to be playing, considering he's not on the injury report. Washington Wizards, your Wizards. So we have a 2-hour break after the 8 o'clock games to two 10 o'clock games with 245 totals. And not a lot of room to swap because of Dallas. So for the Wizards, they are unable to be talked about right now because they're on a back-to-back. Maybe we don't get Gallo tonight. Who knows? 12% ownership to Gafford. No more than 4 to anybody else on DK. It's 15 to Gafford, Poole, Kuzma, and Jones on FanDuel with 26 to Denny. I do not have much of this Washington Wizards team because they're all priced where they should be.
Yeah, I don't either. The matchup's fine. It's just none of these guys really fit the criteria, with the exception to some extent of Kuzma that I was talking about earlier, of either having in your range of outcomes being one of the top scorers at your position or best point per dollar values. Kuzma at 8,600, sure. I'm getting 7% of him. He's 3.5% owned. I don't mind something like that, but he's very comparable to like Siakam, for example, why it's tough to just get a lot of that. Gafford showing up 3% for me, 3% Avdia, 2% Poole, 2% Jones, just very small amounts of this team across the board. Gafford is actually projected for 12% ownership. We only have him 7% to be optimal. I think it's a decent price tag for him, but it's just a weird slate to get there when you have Embiid and Jokic and the easy ability to get to them. Not to mention, Bam against Atlanta, Şengün against whatever we're calling this Dallas team. It's tough to be like, oh, I really want to be using these spots on Daniel Gafford.
Any revenge narrative for you here?
Oh,
took you a minute.
Well, in my head, I was thinking they were playing Sacramento in my head.
Yeah.
Because I looked at the Phoenix Sacramento game first.
Gotcha.
And, yeah. So I was like, who played for the Kings?
I mean, I wish revenge narrative.
I wish they would let Draymond play today.
So do I.
Be like, all right, prove that you're a changed man. Go guard Jordan Poole.
I assume that on a day like today, you don't make any changes to anything you're doing for what I'm about to say, but you would want more Poole than less Poole.
I view it as if for some reason I randomly started getting Jordan Poole, I would be less upset about it than if he were playing a different team. The problem here is I think you can actually make a much better, like this could actually be like a revenge game narrative type thing. The problem is Jordan Poole sucks, and what is he going to do about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Jordan Poole,
he can control his opportunities.
Right. Jordan Poole revenge game might just be a negative for Kyle Kuzma and not a positive for Jordan Poole.
Very, very true.
Speaking of, I watched a little bit of the Wizards game last night. I think within the first 10 minutes of watching, there were two instances where two people are guarding Poole. He has the ball. There's a Wizard literally doing jumping jacks wide open behind the 3-point line. He looks at them and then doesn't give them the ball.
Just throws one up over his head.
Yeah, well, so actually one of them, he didn't have the ball. I think Kispert had it on like the opposite side of the court. Avdija is just jumping up and down, waving his arms, but Kispert couldn't get him the ball, so he passes the Poole in between them, and Poole shoots from like the logo instead of just kicking it to Avdija. And then the other one was Poole had the ball. Kuzma is jumping up and down, waving his arms and legs. Poole like looks at him and like passes to somebody else.
Anything else for your garbage Wizards?
No.
The Golden State side is equally as unappealing, but I do have one guy I want to talk about. Single digit. Oh my God, this is happening here too. I have every single Warrior I projected in at least one lineup. This is very different for me this morning. I guess that's what happens when you lock button like 4 dudes. You just rotate through everybody else pretty quickly. 8% ownership to Jonathan Kuminga is the high man on the Warriors. It's 24 to Curry on FanDuel, where he's 8,800. 10% to Paul there on FanDuel. Steph Curry's 3% owned on DraftKings. I really just don't care today. Like, I want more of Steph Curry, 9,600 point guard, shooting guard against the Wizards in a 247 total on a day where he's unowned. Like, this feels like the perfect opportunity. Just like, I would just rather have him than some other pay-up option.
Yeah, I only have 2% right now. I would love for that to increase and get more Steph. I don't have an answer for where I want it to come from. I haven't had a pay up guy today that I'm like, oh, I'm getting a lot of him. I don't really like it. Like Trae Young against Miami isn't ideal. And if some of that turned into Steph, then fine. But I only have 14%. And it's not like I don't want to play Trae Young. I'm certainly not trying to turn Jokic or Embiid into Steph. I guess so you could make the case
from a roster construction standpoint.
Right. So I was going to say that is kind of an interesting spot, at least to think about, going back to what I said at the start of the show about how roster construction is going to overlap so much in addition to players overlapping in ownership. If the chalk build is just going to be Dallas guys plus Jokic or Embiid, you can turn Embiid into Curry and Tim Hardaway into Maxey or something. And that is that build. That's a nice way to be different. But
this is a dream scenario for Steph Curry.
Yeah, not doing a lot of it, but yeah, absolutely fantastic spot for Steph.
28th in defense, first in pace. Like, him just getting free and raining threes, it just feels like I feel like I already see it happening. So I got 11%. I love it. I'd like to get even more just because of the low ownership. If my biggest way to get different on today's slate is I jam Steph Curry at 3% ownership, yes, like that's the way that I want to be different for a slate.
Well, and related to raining threes, I am 3x the field on Klay Thompson right now.
There you go. Same sort of situation.
Yeah. Shooting guard, small forward, 6,900. More natural pivot because like he's in the same price range as Hardaway, same positions as Derek Jones, different price tag, but you're talking a 2v2 to get to Klay. So I do think, where we were just saying with Steph, I would love to get to him, but I also don't really want to be pulling ownership away from the guys that I have to take it away from. I have no problem giving some Tim Hardaway exposure to Klay Thompson.
By the way, Brandon Pajemski is questionable. That actually does matter. He's starting and playing a ton of minutes. That will certainly create something. What do you want to do with the rest of this Golden State team? What do you mean? Oh, like after he got hurt?
Yeah, the starting lineup in the second half last game was Wiggins back.
I assume Kuminga. He played 34 minutes.
Well, Wiggins started.
Or Trace Jackson Davis?
Wiggins started in place of Pajemski.
Interesting. Okay. Still only got 21 and a half.
Yeah, he didn't play overtime. He didn't play a lot. He played 6 minutes to open the third. He played 5 minutes to open the fourth. He didn't come back. But they did start him alongside Kuminga, which is interesting just because they've been very anti playing him alongside Kuminga.
You like anything else here for Golden State?
No, not really. I'm getting like 7% Kuminga right now. Fields at 8, but Clay is the one that I'm getting. I have the biggest stand on right now. That's perfectly fine with me. I would like to get some more Steph, but I'm pretty much in line with the field right now.
The holiday season is upon us, and if you guys want to benefit yourselves by signing up at Stochastic, we can help you with the promo code HOLIDAY. 25% off anything you want at Stochastic. Whatever package you're trying to get, it's 25% off using the promo code HOLIDAY. If that's Sims Tool, if that's lineup generator, whatever sport you're looking for, you'll get projections and ownership, all that stuff. Everything that we have, whichever package you choose, promo code HOLIDAY, 25% off. This is going to be the last deal we're running for a while. We've had a lot of them lately. That's going to come to a halt. If you're looking to get in with us, now is the time to do it. This promo will run out the day after Christmas, December 26th. Take advantage now. Click the link in the description. Get into our Discord. Great place to be. All of the advanced data on the back end, plus our Sims tool and lineup generator. We've got a lot going on, and you can join us for 25% off. Phoenix Suns, 3.5-point dogs in Sacramento, 244 total. Interesting news for Phoenix today. No Bradley Beal, Nas Little available. Josh Okogie, questionable, but the big piece, no Yusuf Nurkic. 23% ownership coming into Drew Eubanks, 11 to Chimezie Metu, 27 to Kevin Durant. I think the Eubanks ownership makes sense. Clearly, the Durant ownership is fine. If you want to get to Devin Booker, go for it. I am significantly more interested in 11% Chimezie Metu if it's 11% Chimezie Metu.
Yeah, we're on the same page there. Eubanks, I'm right around the field. I have like 26%. We have him projected for 23. 4,500 center, pretty self-explanatory here. Metu, 3,500 power forward center, 11% ownership. We have him with a 16% chance of being optimal. I'm getting 22%. I have no problem being, 2x the field there at 3,500. It's just another value play that looks pretty good at a weak position, opens some other stuff up, and isn't super popular. I'm getting to 20% Durant, so not too far behind the field there. Getting to 10% Booker, which is right around the field. Looks like a team where I don't think there's any like huge priorities where you're just playing them, 80% of the time or anything. But Durant looks good, Booker looks good, Eubanks looks good, Metu looks good. If you get to some Grayson Allen or $5,200 Eric Gordon as contrarian plays, either of those are fine as well.
Yeah, Metu having that power forward eligibility, just massive. Yep. He could start tonight. I don't think Eubanks is just the no doubt about it starter today.
Yeah, I was thinking that as I was talking about it. Like the 23% ownership to Eubanks is assuming he starts. If he comes off the bench, he is still playable. Like you're not really concerned about him just like not playing. But
no,
obviously from a minute standpoint, you want him to start. And if Metu starts over him, Metu becomes really popular. It's really interesting because like even if Metu starts, there is a path to Metu like not playing well and then losing minutes and Eubanks still being the play at much lower ownership. But assuming that Eubanks does start, Metu looks like a just underpriced value at 3,500. If Metu starts, he ends up being one of the more popular values on the slate.
The problem for Metu is that if we don't get that news until after 8:00, all of that extra salary that you get out of Metu is like mostly like you've already locked in so much of the early games for Dallas that you're really not unlocking a ton by getting to Metu. Like you might not be able to actually spend the savings you're getting.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's certainly going to help, and you're certainly going to want to get to more. You're going to end up getting to more Durant, to Booker, to Steph, to Fox, to Sabonis if you can.
Right.
But it's going to be less actionable than it normally would. But he will look great. Anything else here for Phoenix?
No, God, this slate's fun. Like I keep just looking at it. I mean, the slate sucks, but it's so like this goes back to what we were talking about with the pricing, where I love the pricing on DraftKings this year, but if I were a casual player, I would hate it because it is way more fun to like look at Phoenix and be like, yeah, I'm getting Durant, I'm getting Booker, and then look at Sacramento and be like, yeah, I'm getting Fox, I'm getting Sabonis.
Yeah. Speaking of, Fox and Sabonis are really the two guys that I have any priority for. I assume you have like 67% Monk, but Fox and Sabonis look like the best two options.
Yeah, I'm 2x on both Fox and Sabonis. 15% Fox, 15% Sabonis. Field projected for 8% on Sabonis, 6% on Fox. So 2x give or take. I have 11% Keegan Murray, which whatever. I assume that's just another Tim Hardaway pivot. 3% owned. Like clearly Hardaway projects better. I would rather have Hardaway, but if you're going to give me 20-1, I'll take some shots on Keegan Murray to be different. Malik Monk showing up 7% for me at 6K. that's in line with the field. But yeah, just getting to some Sabonis, getting to some Fox, clearly not going to be mad about that.
D'Anthony Melton didn't go through shoot around today. I'm really excited for this slate. It's like just sneaky dumb and feels fun heading into the holiday. The Dallas stuff is going to be nuts. The Seth Curry news is massive. Like, we either get a guy that's going to be in 80% of lineups, or you don't replace that with someone. You just like scatter that ownership.
Right. It starts getting mixed into like Lawson and other guys.
Yeah. I'd rather him
not till 8, which is really annoying.
Yeah, we're gonna get that at 7:31.
Yep.
Let's have some fun. Article and video today.
Yep.
Good deal. Good deal.
NFL couldn't throw me a bone and give us a Friday game.
Enjoy the rest of today. Adam and I will be back at 5:00. Look for the rest of our content. NFL Strategy Show coming up next. Shout out to Better for being the sponsor. We'll talk to you later.